This is our second show for the month of June, and no, it's not the second show. I got it wrong, because somebody gave me misinformation here. This is our second show for the month of June. Or did I say that? You know, the heat is getting to me. It's actually steaming my brain.
It's very warm in here.
It is, it's warm. You may recognize that voice. I'm not going to announce them yet, but a lot of you may recognize them. So today is June 11th, and it's part 2 of our Canada 150 St. Stephen Day special. Now, before we start, I have a little something for show and tell, because a lot of people have been asking me, Rob, 50 years ago, where were you? And of course I said, well, I wasn't even born 50 years ago, but I was. Now here's a little something for the folks at home to see. My family and I, well, I guess they took me to Expo 67. And there's a very young Rob Patry. And if you look at beside my name, it says Rob Patry Live. All right, okay, so was it, you know what, that was a long way to go for a very cheap bit, but I'm glad I did. All right, this evening's guests are Mayor Allan MacEachern of St. Stephen and Derek O'Brien, the town's CAO. Welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you, Rob.
Now, Allan, you were my second guest when I first started the show, and you were on last week. So actually, when you add up everything, we've probably talked about everything we have to talk about. So we could just stop the show right now and go home. What do you think, guys?
Not a chance, Rob.
No? All right. Because it's a beautiful day out there.
Yes, it is.
Is this normal Charlotte County weather?
Yes.
This is what we should have been having 3 or 4 weeks ago, so it's finally time it's here.
So it showed up. And now I know we're here to talk about St. Stephen, but I was in St. Andrews Friday night. We went to the tapas night. And yesterday, we went to the chowder tasting. It was a sampling of chowders, which was fantastic. But we're here tonight to talk about St. Stephen. Before we talk to you both, if anybody has any questions or comments, 1-855-529-8826. So we are going to start. Last week we talked a lot about the Garcelon Center. Tonight we're specifically going to talk about Canada 150. So what are the plans for Canada 150?
Well, it's going to be an exciting time throughout the summer in St. Stephen, and we've got our traditional festivals happening, but we've also been adding some new festivals coming up for the summer. And I think one of our biggest kickoffs is going to be our Canada Day weekend. And although we've been trying to plan events all throughout 2017 to celebrate Canada 150, the Canada Day weekend will be a very exciting time in the town. And we're really trying to grow that event from the events that are happening. We're really relying on the Garcelon Civic Center because this time, I think I mentioned last week, this will be our first year that we've had ice in for 12 months. So it's quite a unique thing to have ice in this time of year in New Brunswick. And we're lucky to. And one of the big events for the weekend is going to be an international hockey team. We have a team of hockey players coming out of Florida, and they're going to be in St. Stephen for the weekend and playing a St. Stephen team that we're putting together. So
now, are you a little disappointed in that, in the sense that they're coming from Florida, and you've done all this work to have the ice rink open in the middle of summer, but that's going to seem normal to them?
It will be a great opportunity, though.
That's how I see things.
But people from New Brunswick haven't seen and aren't really into watching hockey on
so
on
they'll
June the 30th
be
and
well
July the 1st.
prepared for being out in the heat and then coming into the cool rink.
That's right.
That'll be wonderful. Do you know where they're from? What town?
I don't.
Okay, but somewhere in Florida. And who are they playing?
They're going to play a team of adult players in St. Stephen. They're putting the team together now. Jamie Waycott's taking the lead on that for us, so I think we'll have some good talent out there on the ice.
Are either of you going to be on the
They
team?
tried to recruit me, but I'm
no.
too young.
You are.
You gotta be
You're
15
child.
over.
Oh, well, no, you're not even close to that.
Our town's insurance policy won't cover him to be into activities like that either. So.
By the way, have you finished that Canada 150 thing yet, or should I even be asking
I'm
that?
with you on that one.
Okay, good. So neither of us, we won't mention it again Derek don't say a word.
Well, Rob, you'll
Wait,
be glad to
gotta-
know that Councillor Hyslop finished his this week, his trek to Ottawa. He
I
arrived,
heard
I think
that.
it was on Tuesday.
Now, has somebody actually filmed that? Because I don't know if I believe him or not.
We have video of
We
that.
have video?
You can see the
Okay.
weight loss. that he's
Okay.
definitely done. Yes.
Well, I've lost weight.
Yeah.
I mean, I could have just said I've walked from here to Victoria and back. But
And the other one we know is Councillor Wheaton, Ghislaine Wheaton, is
Yeah.
nearly finished, and I suspect probably this week or next she'll be finished her trek as well.
to Ottawa.
To Ottawa.
That's crazy. You know, I find it a hard walk from my house down to the Garcelon. The Garcelon.
You walk to the...
No. That's why I drive, of course. There's no point in walking. Okay, now a lot of other events we're going to talk about. We've got the musical concert series, which we had here last year.
That's right.
Fantastic
Great
series.
addition to the show.
And who did, you know, can you do a few name drops for us tonight?
Those are all under wraps until
Oh,
they're
okay.
announced, but it is going to be the Thursday evening in the David Allison Ganong Chocolate Park.
Yes.
And we have sponsors for all of them, which will change it a bit because we're hoping that our sponsors will be actively involved in the concert each night as well.
Okay, and that's at the park, obviously, where the gazebo is.
That's right.
Beautiful. That's a beautiful park because you got the gazebo, great music, a great night. There's the ice cream place around the corner. And you know, if you come down, you can grab me a couple of cones.
Yes.
If you don't mind, then I don't have to get up and miss some of the music. All right, so now we've also got, now as you know, I'm French. So I'm going to say, oh, Canada Public Padlet. No, it's not Padlet, of course it's paddle. But the O is the French part. Now what does O, is that an acronym?
Oh, no.
Because you and I talked about our disdain
yeah,
for
we
acronyms.
don't. No, it's the word water.
It is.
Yeah.
Oh, it is. Okay, so that sort of explains it. You're out. Okay, so what goes on that day? That's July the 8th.
This is, we've often ignored the St. Croix River in St. Stephen, and we're trying to take best advantage of that we can. And so O Canada is a public paddle that's going to begin on the wharf in St. Stephen. Boats are going to launch at 1 o'clock officially on July the 8th, and they're going to paddle to the Ganong Nature Park.
Okay.
And we're inviting anyone in any type of boat that wants to put in the water that day to participate. And there's going to be a barbecue at the park as well as entertainment there once people arrive.
So any type of boat, is this one of those deals like where you got a bathtub and a casket and stuff like that?
No.
or-
And we used to have raft races. And
That were
some
like that?
Very interesting rafts.
Well, it might be worth bringing that back. Well, you see, you know, and it's funny when I'm saying, of course, O Canada, but you said it, O Canada.
O Canada.
So like it's like EAU. Oh, that's very clever. Who thought of that?
Well, that comes from the organization that's helping to sponsor this, because there's going to be lots of on heritage rivers throughout the country.
Okay.
There will be lots of activities during Canada 150.
Right.
And we've chosen July 8th as the day for ours here in St. Stephen.
Awesome. Now here's one I love. And this is the lumberjack competition. And I saw you there last year eating hot dogs.
Yes.
And I was
hot dog. Just one.
what's that? I could have sworn I saw you with the whole tree. No. You know what? That must have been me. But yes, hot dogs and lumberjacks, and saws and axes and trees and stumps. How does it get any better than that? But this year, it's going to be at the nature park, at the Ganong Nature Park, which will be spectacular.
That's right. There's a change in organizations this year that are looking after that. It was the Downtown BIA that used to do this, and they decided it was time to move that project on, and it seemed to be a natural fit with our nature park. So Ganong Nature Park organization decided they would pick it up, and it will be there at the park from the 22nd to 23rd.
Now, will any of the lumberjacks be clearing out some of the trees at the nature park? I would hope not, because that kind of defeats the purpose, doesn't
That's right.
it?
So we'll still bring in the wood that they'll be competing with.
Have you seen them with an axe?
I have.
There wouldn't be a tree left.
There'd be,
down there.
I know.
No.
It's
They are
unbelievable. It's unbelievable. And they filmed that too. It's like,
Yeah.
isn't TSN?
TSN,
Or,
yeah.
they filmed that, which was amazing. All right, now, are you both you guys going to all these events? Because I know I saw the mayor there. I don't know. I don't think I had met you last year. So you
Probably
could have
not.
been to all the events and I didn't know it.
Well, it was, and the Lumberjack last year was on New Brunswick Day.
Right.
And as we were hosting
That's
the
right.
official ceremonies downtown, I found my hands a bit full that day looking after
Right.
that part of the
Now, were you
activity.
involved with the train ride?
Yes.
Yeah, because Arlene and I went on that. And you talk about hot. That was like just broiling hot. And I was in my chair there, and the minute the wheels started rolling, I fell asleep, and I woke up at one end. And then Arlene says, "Well, you missed the whole trip. You get to see it on the way back." And I fell asleep again. Was that fascinating?
It was a comforting ride. Lulled you right to sleep, Rob.
It lulled me to sleep, but I didn't see any of it. But I know they were giving out chicken bones, so that was a nice aspect. So we've got the Bonfire Festival. This is closer to the end of July. So now all of these, though, and I know that some of them, or really all of them you've had in the past, but they take on extra dimension and extra importance because of Canada 150.
That's right.
So I mean, even though you know, some of this we've done before, but it's in new locations. It's all very exciting because of that particular date in our history. So tell us about the Bonfire Festival.
This is a brand new one that came to us. Peter Fitch, a resident in St. Stephen, came with the idea. He'd been out west at one point and participated in a folk music festival and was involved with some of the organization there. And he came back and said, you know, we could do this in St. Stephen. So along with some support from the town, they've put together, and they came up with a title for it, because they kept coming back with some other titles, an artist's retreat, folk music retreat, and I told them they had to come up with something a bit sexier, so we landed on Bonfire Festival. And I think this is one, personally, that is going to grow. We expect to have a good number of musicians in town for those days, and to be offering concerts throughout the community.
Yes.
And sitting around doing workshops and engaging other musicians around in that type of organization.
And will there be a bonfire?
I suspect.
Really?
Yes.
Well, I just noticed it just follows the lumberjack thing, so we could probably get all those big wood chips.
You know,
That's right. We'll have lots to burn.
work that
see,
together.
now that's what you see. This is why you're Mayor Allan, because you're on the ball, always thinking. You know, whether it just happened or it's about to happen, you put the pieces of the puzzle together, and you come up with that great idea. We can burn whatever wood chips and stuff there are. Because I was going to suggest burning the instrument. No, I was going to say, well, yeah, old tires and instruments, guitars and such. But you know what? Your idea is probably a lot better.
We don't want to infringe
Safer.
on any environmental
No,
rules or anything like that,
never,
Rob.
no. This is why I'm not in charge of anything.
We don't need the fire chief down there.
No, exactly. Okay, then we got the rally in the valley, and that's the bikers come
Yes.
That
down
is.
Yeah.
and just rough up the town.
Oh, yes.
They're a welcome addition. They really draw a lot of attention in the community and have a great festival themselves. They host it at the St. Stephen Legion on Queen Street.
Yes.
And but they're throughout the community for those days of their festival, and it does bring a lot of people into the community to see them, and a lot of bikers.
Yeah, no, we were there last year and had just a great time. Lots of good food. There was beer. There was music till early in the morning. It was just fantastic. Great event. So that's something we're looking forward to. Again, like I always say, it's amazing to me how a small town like St. Stephen can cram in so much, value for your entertainment buck. You know, so many things to do here. You guys really, you're always pulling a rabbit out of your hat. It's just amazing.
And it's hard to get away sometimes.
Well, that's it. And
Get so many events you got to attend.
well, that's it. And Mr. Ames, he's the Minister of Tourism. He and I were talking a while ago about, a staycation. And this is the time you want to stay. This isn't the time you say, geez, it's beautiful, sunny, the weather's great. I want to leave here. Where am I going to go?
That's right.
Down to Florida to watch a hockey game? No, I can
We're
watch.
bringing them to the hockey game.
That's right. So I think that this is the perfect time for, again, everybody to celebrate Canada 150. And I think when you were on, Mr. MacEachern, somebody called in and said, have you got any events planned? And as you said then, and I reiterated, that was back in January. But as time gets closer, there's going to be just a plethora, a cornucopia of things to do. And there really are.
And while we're also working on getting Canada Day organized, we have New Brunswick Day coming up at the beginning of August on the 7th. So we'll certainly have a great festivity in the town that day.
So we're not even going to touch on that. I mean, unless you want to.
Well, there were a lot of exciting things last year that we had done for the first time. One was having buskers, which proved to be one of the most popular things of New Brunswick Day.
What's a busker?
Busker, these are performers coming in, and
Okay.
these guys were very talented. They
Like
almost was
sideshow people?
It was very much like that.
Okay.
Yeah, there were flames being tossed and
Really?
juggling happening. So
Okay, good. So, you know, I do remember that because that was, I think, kind of right on the main street there, by in front of the Gar Salon.
it was.
Yeah, they
yes.
were out there doing juggling and that type of thing. Okay, so now we got the Delecto Hooked Rug Festival, or as Derek and I have been calling it, the DHRF.
Oh, we're doing initials again.
Yeah,
I got in
we're
trouble on the
back to
show
that.
last week.
I know, we're back to that. No,
The
now who's Delecto? Why do I know that name?
Delecto is the boxed chocolates that are made by Ganong Brothers Limited in St. Stephen.
That's where I've heard that
That's
name.
right.
I was going to say, see, at first I'm thinking, is that a competitor? I better not say anything. But no, it isn't. It's all part of our St. Stephen family. Okay, so they're doing so what's a hooked rug festival?
Well, there are some hookers in the province.
Oh, my.
I mean people,
Oh.
people who hook rugs.
Oh.
And they've they've gone back over the years and looked at Delecto boxes.
Yes.
And so they've actually hooked rugs that look like, resemble the Delecto boxes.
I see.
And along with Ganongs, and it's going to be just at the opening of Chocolate Fest.
Okay.
All of those hooked rugs will be on display
Right.
at the Garson Civic Center.
Okay, so hookers isn't the other. Ooh. Yeah, I'm getting a little worried there, but we're talking about something completely different. Okay, and that, you know, we had Sarah Golding on a few weeks ago. I don't know if you saw it, but she had an old box, well over 100 years old, of Ganong chalk. Beautiful box. So they're going to be making boxes or turning rugs. Well, not turning the box into a rug. Help me out.
They're going to be
here, Dick.
replicating the box on a hooked rug.
Okay. Is there computer imagery or sorcery or
Not that I believe.
GIFs
I
or
believe it's all done with
JPEGs?
the,
It's all done
yarn rug
by
material.
talent. That's wonderful.
Very artistic.
So, and where are we going to see these rugs?
They'll be on display at the Garson Civic Center on August the 4th and 5th.
Now, will there be enough rugs? Are you putting that in the arena, or is that going to be something that's going to be out in the main hallway where the mosaic is? Or
No, it's going to be in the conference center.
the
on the third
conference
floor.
center. Okay, very nice. And then do you vote on them, or?
No, I don't think it's going to be a contest for them, but more
Okay.
of an opportunity for people
And
to see.
how
it.
many hookers are involved?
That I'm
Do you
not
want
sure.
to be a judge?
I could.
Judge and hooker.
I'd love to do that. Yeah, I have a lot of experience with hookers. No, that's a joke. I apologize for that. You know what? We'll edit that right out. Nobody will ever hear that. Okay, and then we've got Chocolate Fest. Now, just so you know, we've got, oh geez, what's her?
Caitlin Rodas.
Yes, thank you. Is coming on. See, you know what? I gotta have you on the show all the time because
He's so organized.
he is. I just think of something and it pops out of his mouth, and I don't know why. But yes, Caitlin's coming on. She'll be talking about that.
Great.
But you can sort of give us a little teaser about that as well.
Well, what I would say about Chocolate Fest is, I mean, it is St. Stephen's signature festival, and given that we are Canada's chocolate town, it's just one we enjoy celebrating every year, and I think that it's an attraction for people because there are lots of other communities that have different things, but I think having chocolate is certainly an asset because most people will turn off the highway for chocolate.
Yeah, of course. And now is this going to entail a gala dinner like last year?
There is. They are planning the chicken bone pink gala
Yep.
evening, so that will be fun and hopefully a good turnout. For
And
that.
then I believe they sample drinks, like people make drinks like martinis and chicken bone daiquiris and that type of thing. And then the other thing I recall was the mousses. Is it mousses? Meese? What's the
Mousse.
plural of mousse? It is mousse.
Yeah.
That's it? It's that
That's it.
simple. See, I'm an Ontario boy, and I'm not familiar with these complicated terms. But there's two not stuffed moose. They're pantomime moose?
These are our mascots.
Mascots. And it's Ed and Trudy?
No,
No,
it's the great chocolate mousse and his wife Tiffany.
Tiffany. So who's Ed and Trudy? It's like Allan Quartermain. We don't know who these.
You just pulled these names.
I
out.
just pulled them out of the hat. All right. So Tiffany is the lady moose.
Yes.
And the husband's name again is?
The Great Chocolate Mousse.
The Great Chocolate Mousse. Now, I'm not sure on this because I'm not an expert on either chocolate or mousse, but do moose eat chocolate, or is this?
This one does.
This one
most
does.
Definitely, because
Okay.
he has a fancy almond nose and chicken bone antlers.
All right. Now, let's talk, we're going to talk a little bit about the Homecoming Festival, and then we're going to take a quick break, and then we've got a couple of musical guests with us. So tell us about that, because that's also important to this area, the Canadian-American connection.
It is.
Yeah, well, it is very important to our area because we are a border town. So,
Yes.
So, and it's been how many years now? 40.
I think we're in the 43rd or 44th annual
44th,
festival
yeah.
for the International Festival.
So it's where the two towns unite and share all our festivities. And
Now, what is specifically planned for those days?
The mayor always kicks it off because
yes.
one of the traditions of International Festival goes back to the War of 1812, and when Calais wanted to have a fireworks display,
Right.
and they didn't have any gunpowder,
Right.
and so they borrowed it from St. Stephen, from a British colony, which they were at war,
Yes.
and we loaned them the gunpowder. So
Right.
there's always a traditional. They return the barrel of gunpowder that was loaned to them so many years ago, and they do an exchange with hands across the border as sort of the kickoff event for that.
And then do we light the gunpowder on fire?
We don't set it on fire.
I get a little drum of it in my office now.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
Hang on.
you should have brought that. That would have been an interesting exhibit. Now, have you ever considered maybe a bare knuckle fist fight between the two mayors?
No, thanks.
No?
No. I've hugged her last year. I gave her a hug instead of a handshake.
No, I think there's a
new
new
mayor.
one,
Yeah.
and she's a man.
Yeah,
no,
but
she's
I don't think he want a hug.
No, she's not a man. But a big fella like you should be. I put my money on you.
Yeah, right in the middle of the bridge.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, so that's probably not going to happen. All right, so you're on Rob Patry Live with Mayor Allan MacEachern and Derek O'Brien. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back. All right, ladies and gentlemen, you're watching Rob Patry Live. Our guests this evening are Mayor Allan MacEachern and CAO Derek O'Brien. And as a special bonus, it's a special night because we're celebrating Canada 150 and the town of St. Stephen. So what better way to have a couple of musicians from the town of St. Stephen? We have Raymond and Hayden. Take it away, fellas.
Thanks, Rob.
So bright, come back to me, back to me, back to me. All alone and the heavens don't lie. Come back to me, back to me, back to me. All alone and the night's so bright. Come back to me, back to me, back to me. All alone and the heavens don't lie. Come back to me, back to me, back to me. I don't know how to get you back, and I'm waiting for an answer. I don't know how to get back home, and I'm waiting for an answer. You're a part of me. You're everything I You're a part of me, and I'm a part of you. So bright, come back to me, back to me, back to me. All alone and the heavens don't lie. Come back to me, back to me, back to me. I don't know how to bring you back, and I'm waiting for an answer. I don't know how to get back home, and I'm waiting for an answer. Thanks. Stop understanding. Stop understanding what we do not know. We do not know. It takes two to make one. Turn to struggles. Did you find yourself undone? We go down. Don't look down. Cold hearts and roll darts, and thin lines stay drunk. I think I might stay drunk. It's never enough. I'll put you in my prayers. Laughter, the family, but before the TV, is that so much I'll care? And we go down, but don't look down. We go down, but don't look down. As we see what's lost and we take it for a ride. Find the broken, but we'll leave our hearts inside. Carry the weight of what knocks at our door, but if it hurts, don't look. Take it and part it. hardened. That which you carry is never undone. Change of the seasons, I ain't got no reason to stay. Stop thinking about what could be, let's work with what's to come. You are just the same as any one of us. Death has a way of putting heads below the ground, so I'll take one last trip, one last step, one last glimpse. You will see someday that I'm right. So move on, come on, let's move on. Won't be the same when we're gone. Moments they last only for a while, so I'll take one last trip, one last step, one last glimpse. You will see someday that I'm right. And our innocence is taking us this far. We are tingling from streams where we are. I will take as I have taken us this far. Can't be afraid of who we are. One last trip, one last step, one last glimpse. You will see someday. I am right.
Well, thank you, gentlemen. That was Raymond and Hayden doing 3 songs. Elizabeth, which is Raymond's song, Thin Lines, Hayden, and then Taken John Belushi by Raymond and Hayden. So you didn't actually, can I speak to them, Patrick, or we're not gonna hear them? Okay, because they didn't want me to talk to them, so I'm dying to ask them something. But before the show started, I said, do you want me to talk to you a little bit? And they both said no. And I said, is it because your camera's shy? And they said, no, we just don't like you. So that's, you know what, I've heard that, but that's not the first time, fellas, that I've heard that. So we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back and end up the show with Allan MacEachern and Derek O'Brien. We're back with Rob Patry Live, and I was listening to the music from the last ad, very ominous. Sort of remind me of something in 2001, A Space Odyssey. I don't know if you kids are old enough to know that movie, but sort of that thing where the monkeys are throwing rocks at a obelisk or something. Anyway, you know what? You guys have to keep me on track here, because we're supposed to be talking about Canada 150. I already made the mistake of calling it Canada 250, and you said it's not as old as you are, Rob. And then now I'm talking about Stanley Kubrick movies. So
Back in black and white television.
well, yeah, exactly. So it's better I just focus. Okay, well, thank you again. Mr. Funk and Mr. Weeb for the music was wonderful. We might hear one more song, depending if how much information we can squeeze out of these two.
We try to get Hayden up on stage as often as we can in St. Stephen. So
well, because he's fantastic. They're both fantastic.
Both.
I didn't know they came as a team. I don't know if you order them individually or it's a 2-pack or how that works. But they were very nice and obliging to come on, and a beautiful job, very heartfelt music, and it's their own music. Mm-hmm. That's what's beautiful. Like Eloy last week. You're hearing St. Stephen music, the sounds of St. Stephen.
Very talented community, Rob.
It is. Well, you know what? And again, I talk about this all the time, but it is. You know, whether it's art, whether it's music, whether it's cooking, it goes on and on. I just blows me away every time I meet the young folks of this town and just how talented they are. So now we're going to talk about the future. The future St. Stephen. We're going to kind of put on our thinking caps, and we're going to see St. Stephen down the road. Down the road.
I'm getting hypnotized here.
You're getting sleepy. Okay, so let's talk about some hopeful projects that you'd like to see in St. Stephen.
Well, our waterfront development is a very big hopeful. Getting ready for the raising water heights and getting our wharf done, which is much needed work, and of course our turning the corner up in Milltown. That's going to be part of a Canada 150 project, and it's a people's place. It's going to bring life to that corner again, and hopefully spring more life. You know, a few little markets across the street, we're hoping, and just get some movement up there.
Now for the viewers that aren't specifically familiar with that, what is turning the corner?
Well, it used back in the day when the post office there used to be a lot of kids and families would hang out sitting on the step watching things go on, and we kind of want to bring that back with some sort of like a monument and, you know, brick and mortar type thing, and have the steps again.
Because I've seen people's visions of what it's going to look like, so it'll be like a tower and a clock.
Yeah, with the clock and stuff out of the old post office, yeah.
So it brings a sense of history, a sense of pride to the area of Milltown, which is important to our area.
And you got the people that got together to make that happen, which is the most important part of it, is the people make a committee and make the decisions and try to make reality of it, which is a very important piece.
And how long of a project are we talking about? Or is it even too early yet to put a time frame on it?
Yeah, I don't have any timelines on it, but...
No, we would hope to have, if we're successful in our application to the New Brunswick Canada 150 Fund, then we'll have the first phase of the project completed before the end of 2017.
Right.
And then other work finished going into 2018.
So that's pretty soon.
It is.
That's very good. That's very good.
And we get some street work going in all on at the same time, so we want to kind of align all that.
Yeah, what I've heard is from King Street all the way to another street down there.
Hawthorne.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
that street work as well. But I mean up in the Milltown area by this on the corner or turning the corner.
So where, just for point of reference, where are we talking about? Like, you know where the statue of the Milltown workers is?
Yeah, the Cotton Mill statue.
Is it on the other side?
Just up past the pool and the school, just past the school.
Where they okay, so it'll be in there somewhere.
Yeah, right on the corner of Pleasant Street.
Right on the corner, yeah, we're on the corner of Pleasant Street and Milltown Boulevard.
And that's why you named it Turning the Corner.
Mm-hmm.
You guys, you're unbelievable.
Well, it was a very important corner years ago with the Milltown United Church, which has been decommissioned. The building's still there. And it was well across the street and when I was a kid, it was Reed's grocery store, but had been Peck's drugstore long before Derek.
Right.
And that was called the Eaton Block, because it was the Eaton family that built built that building. And now with the post office gone, it's good to be able to revitalize that corner and add something back to it.
And we're working on jumping back to St. Stephen on the town hall, which is fantastic.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
They're really working on that full guns. Guns ablazing, if you will.
It's good to see that life going on.
Yeah, because that's a beautiful structure, and just to see it demolished would have been I think a lot of people would have been really sad. because it's just a beautiful thing.
We're
Now-
excited to know too what Heritage Management's going to do with it. They're working on the stabilization of it, and
Yes.
as they're doing that, I think they have some ideas, but they're keeping that to themselves right now. But in terms of repurposing that building once the restoration is complete.
Right. Now, word on the street is the Rob Patry building. Is that even been up for consideration, or?
You mean a new studio for it, the Rob Patry Live show? Maybe is that?
Oh, now you're talking.
I think they-
Patrick, you want to write that down?
We
please?
would have a couch there for you. And,
Oh, and a green room.
yeah.
Okay.
It is, and
for
a
the
beautiful view
refreshments.
overlooking the St. Croix River.
I know, and probably air conditioning. Not that I'm complaining, not that I'm complaining. Okay, now one thing, and we talked about this just before the show, because it's not always a subject that is near and dear to people's hearts, but it affects everyone that lives in the area, and that's the infrastructure. So where do you see that going in the next little while?
Well, we're doing lots. Again, you mentioned the front street from all of Milltown Boulevard, from King to Hawthorne. We're going to take care of like the stormwater and sewer separation, which is a good thing. It's going to take the load off our sewage plant and separate the water and not put sewage into the river, which is
Because that's not a good thing.
That's not a good thing.
No.
And hopefully everyone else follows suit, and clean the river up some more. It's
Yeah.
it's come a long way since I was little. It was even worse, but
Right.
it's come a long way. So doing that plus getting the infrastructure replaced, there's always breaks going on down there, and every time you have a break, you're tearing up the street, and it's nice to get that out of the way.
And I know there was an announcement made, I believe in February or March, I forget, about some monies coming in at different levels for some of this infrastructure, which is good news.
Yes, it
right?
is. Yeah, they've been good to us this year.
That's
Yes,
awesome.
they have.
We've had 3 major projects approved through the Clean Water and Wastewater Fund, and one is the Milltown Boulevard one. We also have the same type of project going on in Elm Park, which was in the Milltown Heights area, and that infrastructure dates back to the 1940s, and so it's going to be the same thing happen there, and new water lines put in.
And what about down by Sobeys in there? There was some issues of flooding, I know, in the past, but that's going to also be looked at, isn't
Yes,
it?
it is. Yeah.
Which is just fantastic.
It is. We're working with the partners. NB Southern Railway are looking at it, as well as Crombie, who own the mall property, and they're set to go ahead with their project, and we're just waiting for some financial support to be able to help them with those
So there's a real
projects.
palpable sense that things, and I say all the time, in the last year that we've been here, the growth is just unbelievable. I mean, the town is just definitely going through an upswing, and it's good to have 2 fellows like you behind the wheel and making sure that things are being done properly, money is spent properly, and that people are getting the most bang for their buck, because that's very, very critical
It
at
is
a time like this.
It's exciting times, and you're right. You get all this help from the funding, but you got to have that 1/3 too in our bank account
Right.
to keep it moving. So,
Yeah, yeah.
So thankfully, we got the staff. Derek and Tim told you're looking after the books and keeping the money flowing and letting us know if we have.
Now, if I needed, I don't know, like a personal loan or something, would Derek be able to help me out with that?
No, we don't do personal loans.
You don't do
No,
that?
no,
You sure?
no.
That's something else I heard on the street. I'm probably misinformed.
No, I might take you for lunch or buy you a coffee.
All right. Well, that's fine. At least
We
it's-
should take you to lunch because you are a great promoter of our area as well.
Well,
and
thank you.
It's very appreciative.
Oh well,
So-
well, I love it here, as both of you know. It's a beautiful area, and I'm very glad that we were able to do this over a two episode show, because you can't squeeze in all of St. Stephen's celebrations in one show. There's just too much that's going on. I don't even know how I'm going to get to half of this. And I'll probably need a ride for some of it, Allan. So you know where I am. If you
Yeah.
could pick me up, and that would be great.
Well, you see, yeah, I can attend the events, but you get the people that doing the events and doing all the work. That's probably
That's
why you don't see Derek, because
Right.
he's at the scenes and
Yeah.
and all the volunteers. Like I can't tell how many times I've come through the office and they're back in the council chambers meeting like once or twice a week.
Yeah.
For every type of event going on, there's groups. And
Yeah, because we were going to talk about that too, volunteers.
Oh, it's amazing. Volunteers.
So, I mean, we really rely on the people who feel it's in their best interest and the community's best interest to volunteer and help out.
Yeah, and we can't thank them enough. And they're part of the decision making of the type of event that's going to be going on.
Right.
So you get more heads at the table and more ideas. And of course, you know, you like you said, there's so many events. You know, a lot of volunteers are spread thin, and staff. You know, there's a lot of work getting put on the table for staff now too. And I've noticed how much the staff, like at the Civic Center, they're actually quite excited about every time there's an event. It's just a different feel down there. It's,
yeah.
You know, there's like, they can't wait for the next one. And, you know, they're taking that floor cover out in 2 hours. You know, we were planning on 6. And, you know, they're just amazing. It's amazing. And very like to thank all the volunteers and staff.
Yeah, because, you know, I guess I can't stress enough, and obviously the both of you feel the same way because this is your town, but the importance of the Gar Salon, the importance to the community, the people that live here, all the events that happen, and even the sort of satellite events that are going on are, you know, being brought in because of that wonderful establishment. You know, it is just, as I mentioned last week to Derek, it's the hub of St. Stephen. St. Stephen is the middle of everywhere. The Gar Salon is the hub of St. Stephen. You write that down. Yeah. I'll send you a bill in the mail.
Yeah.
You're part of the marketing.
Yeah. No, that's great. That's great. So, is there anything else we want to talk about? Have we covered off everything else? Because you know me, I forget a lot of stuff.
Well, we talked about all this infrastructure and paving going on. So keep in mind, all these events, there's going to be lots of paving going on and infrastructure work and lots of digging and lots of detours. So, you know, I'd just like to see, hopefully everyone just bears with us and gets through it.
Is that going to affect my day in any way?
Well, we'll just make sure you know what route to go.
Okay.
Right?
Okay, I need to have a personal note.
That part, just like bear with us. You can only do that work, that infrastructure work in a certain season.
That is the nice thing about working here in St. Andrews, is that I can kind of sneak through town now that Prince William is finished.
Oh, and what a beautiful job.
It is. Yeah. And they put another layer on top.
Yeah. 2 days they're done, all along.
And it's now, was that part of that? Because why is that? Why were the manhole covers raised? Or did
they ran out of time.
Okay.
Yeah, you get a certain, like I said, you only have a certain window you can pave, and they ran out of time. So
yeah. No, they did a fabulous job.
It's a beautiful highway.
We even, where I live, we got just a little slice of new street and curb. So sort of
on the entrance of it.
Yeah, very nice. You know, so it makes you feel wanted and loved, which is a good thing. But yeah, all these news, you know, people don't think about the infrastructure, you know, and I know even back in the winter there when we had the infrastructure meetings, it's just not on somebody's mind that, you know, the Gar Salon is something obvious, the Five Kings is something obvious. But when you see or you don't see the infrastructure, it's sort of like, well, what are they doing with the money? But that's what's holding everything together.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
It's the bones of the town.
Yeah. You know, all the pretty stuff is on the top, but there's all that infrastructure costs a lot of money.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's needed. You know, you need to have all that
now,
infrastructure.
how old is some of that infrastructure now?
Well, they pulled out wooden water pipes out of that. Prince
So like 10, 15 years?
Yeah, no, probably back just about when you were born.
When I was born, so the early 1800s. Yeah. That's amazing, eh? But I mean, the fact that it even lasted that long is incredible. You know, it's a testament for the builders and engineers of that time, because they probably thought it'll last forever. They probably didn't even know about cars. They thought, oh, we're going to be on horse and buggies forever.
That's probably true, yes.
Were you guys around with horse and buggies?
No.
Probably not.
Afraid not.
No, that's a bit past your time too. Okay, well, we got about 7 minutes left. Hey, we didn't get. I was hoping to get a call or two, but we didn't get any. If anybody wants to sneak one in at 855-529-8826, if you have any questions for Mr. MacEachern or Mr. O'Brien, even trivia questions, we'll gladly take.
We'd also remind people too to keep an eye on our website, because there are so many things happening so quickly that we do have an events page on the Town of St. Stephen website, which lists everything that's going on.
Right.
Not just ones that are being organized by the town, but it's an opportunity for other organizations to submit events, and we'll post them there for people to see. And
that website is town.ststephen.nb.ca.
That's right.
And then
Yeah.
And then
to
hit
go
the
from
events
there.
tab.
Yeah, and you got to get people in the habit of going there. And
Yes.
just, you know, like every day, just go check it out. And,
Yeah.
and you'll see what's going on.
Because, you know, some people think, well, they don't know where to find out information, or this is the perfect spot. It's right there all the time, 24/7. If I want to wake up at 3 in the morning, completely buck naked, sit in my leather chair, sticking to it, and looking up what's going on in St. Stephen tomorrow, I can do that. Now, why
By
did you-
yourself, I hope.
Well, I think we won't even go there. But it's true. I mean, people have to go. People have to get involved. People have to try the effort to know what's going on, because there is a lot going on. So you have to find out too.
And we do use social media quite regularly too, as well as our local media. So, and an opportunity like this to be on your show, Rob, helps us get the word out.
You'll find, yeah, that once it's on Rob Patry Live, that you've pretty well told the world
Well,
what's going on. So I think we're almost out of time. We've got about 4 minutes left. I'm just going to say a couple of words, because I do at the end of every show, and then we'll get Raymond and Hayden to play us out. But again, both Mayor MacEachern and Mr. O'Brien do a fantastic job running this town. I've never met two men more committed to making this town grow, making it work on a daily basis, doing everything they can, bending over backwards for this community. St. Stephen is a town of less than 5,000 people, and yet we have some of the best amenities I've ever seen anywhere, the Gar Salon being one of them. But it is so important that the town, the people that live here, support it. People don't have facilities like this everywhere. You know, even just across the border, they don't have anything remotely close to the Gar Salon. They don't have events like we do. And so we are very, very fortunate, and I think a lot of it has to do with these two gentlemen here, and I think everybody should be very proud of them, proud of St. Stephen, proud of New Brunswick, and proud of living in Canada. And again, it's the website is town.ststephen.nb.ca. And fellas, if you could play us out, I'd really appreciate it. Here's Raymond and Hayden. Thank you. Good night, folks.
Time is moving fast, oh, time is moving fast, take it in. Don't try to figure it all out. Time is standing still, oh, time is standing still, take it in. Don't try to force it to move past. Oh, 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 oh. Struck by the sun, you come alive, awaken to life. You're ready to die, and everything in you calls out, look at this life. Struck by the sun, you come alive, awaken to life. You're ready to die, and everything in you calls out, look at this life. Oh.